Hello everyone, my name is Lucy Choma and this is my week 3 Canvas discussion for LDT 523. I want to walk you through how I designed a course called Farm Manager and Supervisor Fundamentals for agrodemy.net and how that design connects to Quasi and Layman's framework for student engagement. Instead of explaining the framework in theory, I'll use a real course I built to show how engagement decision actually play out in real practice. To understand the design, it helps to understand the learners first. This course was built for farm managers and supervisors across Africa. There are people already managing farms, supervising labor, and making daily decisions that affect productivity and income. Most of them are not sitting at desks all day. They work full time, often using mobile phones and dealing with unstable internet. So from the beginning, I knew that engagement could not mean long Zoom calls or heavy platform. Engagement had to mean something much simpler that fits their daily lives and help them do their job better. Because of that context, I didn't start this course by asking what content should I teach first. I started by asking what problems are these learners already dealing with on their farms. Again and again, the same issues came up: unclear rules, poor planning, labor mismanagement, weak accountability. And these problems became the backbone of the course. Theory came in later, only to support solving those problems. This shift from content first to learner first design is exactly what Quasi and Lehman emphasized when they talked about engagement. Once the problems were clear, the next question was how learners would actually work with them. So every model ends with a task that mirrors real farm decisions. Learners don't answer hypothetical questions. They define their actual responsibility on their own farm. They create weekly work plans using their real labor constraints and they apply these ideas immediately. So this is where engagement really shows up when learners recognize their own reality inside the course and see that the learning is useful and not abstract. Now, even though the course is asynchronous, right, learners are not left alone. Facilitation is built into the structure. Each module explains why the topic matters, how it connects to what came before, and what learners should be able to do afterwards. So the instructor voice through narrated videos, reflection points, and clear stop and apply moment guide help these learners step by step. So even without live sessions, there is still strong sense of presence and direction throughout the course. As learners move through the course, feedback becomes really important. So instead of focusing on right or wrong answers, feedback is designed to help learners understand why certain management decisions work and why others fail. These scenarios and model response, these learners get to compare their thinking to real-time examples from farm management. This helps them correct the misconception without discouraging them, which is central to sustaining engagement over time. All this design had to be supported by the right tools. So the course was hosted on WordPress sites using Tutor LMS because it works well on mobile devices and supports self-paced learning. And the lessons were delivered through voiceover videos so that learners can focus on ideas without being overwhelmed. And the practical templates were live on Agric Books, a parent company of Agrodemy, so learners can download and reuse them beyond the course. WhatsApp supports reminders and communication because it's really part of the learner's daily life. Every tool was chosen to reduce friction and not to add to it. So at this point, it's important to acknowledge what the course did not do, right? Advanced learning analytics and adaptive technologies were very limited, but that was intentional because adding complexity would have increased barriers for learners. The goal was not sophistication, but accessibility, confidence, and completion. So that trade-off still aligns with Quasi and Layman's framework because engagement depends on learners being able to participate fully. So looking back at the design, one thing became very clear. Engagement does not come from technology. It comes from relevance, structure, and intentional facilitation. This is especially true in low resource environments where simplicity often leads to better outcome than innovation, at its own stake. Designing this course helped me to see how learner-centered instructional design works in real setting, not just in theory. Aligning tasks, facilitation, feedback, technology with learner-lived reality was essential to make the course meaningful and usable. This experience made the idea in Quasi and Layman framework feel practical rather than abstract. The design decisions and reflections shared in this discussion, we are guided by Quasi and Lehman's framework on student engagement in online learning, as well as Conseil and Howell's principle for intentional online learning design. This concludes my weekly discussion. Thank you for listening.